Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Best I've been all month. It's December the 1st, so... yeah, it's a whole new month.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Coming up, I got a guest on the program, the author of Unbroken, and her sister. So going to be chatting with two folks today. I'm not sure which one's the author now. I got two names listed here. So the author and her sister. Her sister actually just put out a book about her life story, and this is the other sister and her life story. So I wonder how many sisters and how many life stories it will be before this series is done.
I don't know.
I will ask. Hey, moderately content people out-earn very happy people in a study from psychological science. So if you're very happy, you make less than people who are moderately content. I need to be more moderately content, apparently. I'm just a little too darn happy. That's the problem.
Probably because if you're super happy, you're not as ambitious because you're already happy with your life the way that it is.
See, there you go. And the FDA has ruled that tomatoes and tomato sauce may reduce the risk of prostate cancer, and makers of foods containing them can say so in their ads and on their labels. Prostate cancer. Where are you putting these tomatoes? Just wondering. Coming up, we got some special stuff happening today. We'll tell you all about it in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Thought you'd never ask. It's Thursday, December the 1st. It is Antarctica Day. It is Basketball Day. It is Bifocals at the Monitor Liberation Day. Civil Air Patrol Day. It is Day Without Art Day and Day With Art Day.
All right.
I think, if I'm reading this correctly. It is Rosa Parks Day, it is World AIDS Day, and it is National Christmas Tree Lighting Day. And tonight, we've got Charlie Brown on TV as well, on ABC, and we're going to talk about that later in the program. I got some Charlie Brown Christmas stats for you. So all of that going on this Thursday, the first day of December. It just doesn't seem like we're 1 month away from 2017. Doesn't it sound funny to say that?
It does.
How did that happen? 1 month away. Coming up, we're going to talk about a soggy game of Monopoly. Going to talk about a man who reported a crime and then got to go to jail himself. We get a lot of those stories. Also going to talk about a dude that stole a pencil, and we're not exactly sure why. All of that and much more on the way.
John and Heidi.
Would you like to lose weight? You could wait till New Year's to make a resolution, but most people that do that are done with them in a few weeks. No, they don't hit their goal. They just give up. If you struggle to keep your weight where you'd like it, maybe you should consider hypnosis. Many people have amazing results with hypnosis, and it's not as expensive as you think. We have a special weight loss hypnosis program for just $60 at radiosavings.com. Hypnosis can help reduce the cravings that cause you to overeat. Learn more about this special hypnosis weight loss system from Extreme Power Hypnosis at radiosavings.com.
John and Heidi.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. When you were a kid, did you ever play Monopoly?
Oh, yeah.
Coming up, we're going to talk about your Monopoly game because you got a good Monopoly story. We just saw a Monopoly board game that I would like to get. It is the Back to the Future Monopoly board game. I wonder what that would be like.
I want the 80s one. Not the Back to the Future one, just the 80s one in general.
We're 80s kids. That'd be kind of cool. Okay, so this is maybe the soggiest game of Monopoly. Most of us like to swim or play water games in the pool. A group of Norwegians decided to play a board game in the pool. 10 Norwegians, they are divers. They dove down. They broke the world record for playing underwater Monopoly. They took turns to play the board game at the bottom of a tank for 3 days, beating the previous record by a day.
Wow.
The divers played in pairs for 2 or 3 hours at a time in a tank of 18,020 gallons of water. They used laminated cards and coins instead of bills, and nuts and bolts instead of plastic hotels and houses, because the others would just float away.
Well, wouldn't the laminated cards float away too?
I'm not sure how that works. I wasn't there. They didn't invite me, and if they had, I would have told them no.
I would have said, this is dumb.
Who would want to watch that? So 1,820 gallons of water. If there is somebody listening right now going, that was brilliant, then I don't know. We're going to have to talk about whether or not you can listen to this program anymore. I just think that just seems like a weird thing. So they beat the record by a day. 3 days is what they did. So in the past, the world record was playing underwater Monopoly for 2 days, and somebody said, I can beat that? There's probably somebody listening right now going, well, if I really wanted to, I could beat that. I could do 4 or 5 days, but do I really want to?
No, that's ridiculous.
Anyway, they have nothing better to do in Norway, clearly. Otherwise, these Norwegians would have done something else. Coming up, we're going to talk about our brain on drugs and a guy that gets himself arrested, our moment of duh, and our scoop of the day. It's all on the way. And this deal here, this underwater monopoly thing, you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. There was a robber that landed himself in jail. Jose Guadalupe Flores, 35, reported 150 pounds of marijuana stolen from his home. When police arrived, there was still about 15 pounds there. Jose left the house to make the call. When he came back, the cops were there waiting for him. They said, what is this? And I
That
go,
happens all the time.
they didn't steal it all. They just stole most of it. And I go,
People
okay.
are so stupid.
Well, you still get to go to jail. Hey, you know what we forgot to do? I forgot to ask you about the Monopoly game. What happened at the end of your Monopoly game that you played with Charlie when you were a kid?
Oh, well.
I think it's the way that most Monopoly games ended.
I think it is. My brother and my mom and dad and I were all playing Monopoly, and Mom ended up with hotels on Boardwalk and Park Place.
Yeah.
And Dad said, well, the game's over now.
Yeah.
We might as well quit. And Mom said, well, no, you have to land on my property for the game. If nobody lands on my property, I don't win. And he's like, it's over. It's over. Might as well quit. And
Monopoly pieces fly everywhere.
yeah, she did not want to quit. She wanted to win all the money, and he was done. And next thing we knew, it was a big fight. Dad
Monopoly
puts
board.
his hand under the board and throws it across the room. Houses and hotels and money all over the place.
We should have talked about that on a
Only
Tuesday.
fight, honestly, the only fight I can ever remember my parents having is that Monopoly fight.
Many people probably have at least one fight while they were playing Monopoly. So there you go. Coming up, your moment of duh. That's on the way.
John and Heidi.
In Washington State, a man might have just thrown away his whole darn free life over a pencil, and it was a free pencil. Police arrested a 44-year-old suspect of allegedly stealing a mechanical pencil from a department store, despite the fact that he had $600 in his pocket at the time. Officers questioned the man, why did you steal the pencil? You had enough money to pay for it. He says, I don't know, just being stupid, I guess. So, there you go. I guess it
What do
wasn't...
you mean he may have thrown away his whole free life? He's not going to go to prison for
he's
life
gonna
for
go to
stealing
jail.
a pencil.
He's going to go to jail for that. They arrested him, and he will go to... Well, I don't know. Maybe he won't go to jail. I don't know
He'll
how
probably
it
just
works.
get a fine.
How would you like that? You're in jail next to these people that
Yeah,
did some
what'd you do?
major crimes.
Stole a pencil.
Mechanical pencil. I had $600 at the time. I just felt like stealing a pencil. I don't get it. Coming up, we have your scoop of the day. I get that, and it is on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. According to the CDC, that's the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, they say a person that's 5 foot 10 inches tall should weigh 174 pounds. They would have a body mass index of 25 that actually puts them in the overweight category. So if you're 5'10", which is an inch shorter than me, and 174 pounds, which is a whole lot of pounds less than me, you're overweight. If you're 5'10" and you weigh 209 pounds, you are considered obese.
Yeah.
So I'm 5'11", and I'm 100 pounds more than that, at least. Does that mean I'm obese?
Yeah.
I've always wondered. Now I know. Hey, we've talked about several other creepy clown stories. Listen, here's another one. Another creepy clown was recently arrested, and these things are getting more and more common. The first one that involves child negligence, though, and the removal of a 4-year-old girl from her home. Police in Illinois caught 2 men, ages 20 and 29, wearing clown costumes at 4 a.m. last Friday. After getting reports of clowns harassing drivers at the intersection, they stopped a 26-year-old woman who was allegedly driving the pair around. Turns out she and an older man had left their young girl at home for a few hours while they were out clowning around. Officers arrested the couple and have recommended charges of child neglect. So the guys that were doing the clowning were 20 and 29, and they had a 4-year-old girl sitting at home while they were out dinking around doing this clown stuff. So, just stupid. Come on, guys. Grow up. There was a Christmas holiday parade in Jacksonville, Florida this last weekend, and they got some locals really upset. Not because it's a war on Christmas thing. It's the fact that there was a float with pole dancing. Yeah, pole dancing. Thanks to a local dance studio, Studio 360 Pole Fitness Dance and Gym. It was an exercise pole dancing class, not a stripper pole, but a young man from there said that he was very shocked and added, as it gets closer, I realize what it is, and I saw a lady pole dancing in a provocative way. I had my kids turn their heads. Representatives of Studio 360 said nobody was doing anything inappropriate. The manager says, America is going to get offended by something. She said, I wasn't trying to offend anybody. We're a family-friendly place. We knew the consequences. We knew the backlash. We were prepared for that. So I wonder if they knew that it was going to be all over the country that they were talking about them. So I think that's kind of an interesting concept there. A Georgia man has taken ignorance is bliss to a whole new, seemingly impossible level. Joe Chandler, an artist from Brunswick, claims he still has no clue who won the presidential election. And as far as he's concerned,
saw this.
He wants to keep it that way. He told reporters, it's very peaceful in my bubble of ignorance, adding he's quite content in the peace that he's found in the center of a cyclone. He explains he opted out of hearing the Trump versus Clinton results after being invited to an election night party, and he felt so chill the next morning he decided to prolong this little blissfulness that he had. How long? Indefinitely. He said he has...
Good luck with that.
He hasn't heard yet, and it's been hard for him to stay out of the loop as he works at home and simply avoids television, newspapers, and going online. When he does venture out, he wears a sign that says, I don't know who won and don't want to. Please don't tell me. He also sports headphones in case some wise guy shouts the winner out anyway. So he's like living in his own little world there.
I think now he's just full of it because there's no way that he hasn't.
Well, Chandler told Today Show when he was on there that he knows he'll need to give in eventually, but for now, he's got no exact exit plan. So he has no plan on how he's going to learn. But like you said, I got a feeling that he probably knows now.
He knows.
But he's getting all this attention.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, if you guys want to keep putting me on the news,
yeah,
I'll continue to pretend like I don't know. According to the World Alzheimer's Report, more than 35 million people around the world live with Alzheimer's or other types of dementia. That number is expected to grow as the population gets older. And I got a feeling, didn't we just talk about that like 2 days ago?
Did you forget?
I honestly did. And I think it's kind of ironic that would happen to be a story that I would repeat 2 days later. But I will say my grandmother had Alzheimer's when she was in her 90s. And when she passed away, that was a really difficult thing for us to go through. And then now I've got another grandmother that's in her 80s, and she's going through that too. So if you have a loved one that's suffering from dementia, I certainly understand. Not fun stuff. Coming up, we've got some fun stuff on the way. We've got a guest, a couple of them actually, going to be talking to the authors of Girl Unbroken on the way.
John and Heidi.
We just wrapped up one of the most contentious elections in the history of our nation. Some are excited about the outcome, others not so excited. We want to remind you that we're still one nation, under God, indivisible. We've made it through many things, and we'll make it through this too. Let's do it together. At PoliticalStorm.com, we've been covering this election from both sides, and we want to thank the many contributors that have helped make that possible. We also invite you to become a contributor too with a free blog. Let's share all of the reasons to come together and unify as a nation. Share your voice at PoliticalStorm.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a couple special guests today. Yeah, 2 for the price of 1. We're going to be talking with the co-authors of a book called Girl Unbroken, a sister's harrowing story of survival from the streets of Long Island to the farms of Idaho. And we're visiting with real, true-life sisters, Regina Calcaterra and Rosie Maloney. Now, Regina actually had a book that came out a couple years ago called Etched in Sand, and this book kind of answers some of the unanswered questions from that book. But first, let's just say hello to the sisters here. We've got Regina and Rosie on the line. Hello, ladies. How are you?
We're doing fabulous. How are you doing?
Fantastic. And I'm excited to chat with you a little bit about the story, Girl Unbroken, a sister's harrowing story of survival from the streets of Long Island to the farms of Idaho. Now, how long did it take to put this story together?
Well, it actually took a lifetime, but we started because the Girl Unbroken is Rosie's memoir. But the whole process of Girl Unbroken actually started with my memoir. This is Regina speaking. Sand, which came out a few years ago, which was a New York Times bestseller. And in that particular story is where readers learn how it is that my siblings and I grew up, that we were born to a mother who had 5 kids by 5 different men who didn't stick around after we were born. And our mother was mentally ill, who self-medicated through drugs and alcohol. So what she would do is find us places to live, but she would just leave us there for weeks at a time. So we, as these 5 children, were living in a suburban community on the streets, behind supermarkets, out of cars, and sometimes we would be in an apartment before we were evicted, and we had to steal food to eat. So through this story and through sharing how it was that we were living and how we managed to survive in Etched in Sand, which is also actually a very positive story because it shows how we all broke the cycle, one thing that happened is we would be in and out of foster homes because the authorities would sometimes figure out what was happening. And when Rosie and I were placed in our last foster home, I was 14 and I was placed in that foster home with my sister Camille. Norman and Rosie were placed in a different foster home, and Rosie was 8 years old at that point. That is when my mother, we were in one home and Rosie was in another, my mother went to that foster home in New York and kidnapped Rosie and Norman out of that foster home and brought them all the way to Idaho to avoid the authorities. And readers learn about that in Etched in Sand. And after the book came out, they wanted to know what happened to Rosie. Yeah. So for the past 3 years, we've had that inquiry, and that's how we came about with Girl Unbroken. So like I said, it took a lifetime, but it started with first telling the first part of the story in Etched in Sand.
Now, what is the age difference between the 2 sisters?
6 years.
And I won't ask your age today because that would not be polite, but the 6 years, that's kind of what I was looking for. But now, this is a story that, as you've put the story out first, the very first one, Etched in Sand, have you heard from other people who say, I can relate to this because we had something similar happen, or is this really, really rare?
No, this is not rare at all. And that's the beauty of Etched in Sand, is that when I was sharing my story, I was hoped that it would just at least help one person. And what I learned from it over the past few years is that it has impacted so many. And there are many people who have gone through challenging childhoods or even domestic violence relationships that they're in now, and they see how it is that the 5 of us managed to break that cycle and move past it. So the book has had a positive impact not only on those who've had challenging childhoods who are adults, and it has given them perspective, but also many kids who are in the foster care system now who are reading this can see that they can actually survive from that system.
Very nice. Now, Rosie, what would you like to see happen with the book Girl Unbroken? I'm assuming you'd like to see a positive impact as well, but is there kind of a goal as you put this together that you're saying, man, if only this would happen, I would consider it a success?
Absolutely. Sharing the abuse is empowering, and it takes the power away from the predator and gives it back to me. And so that's what I want others to do, and that's what's actually happening. The conversation's already starting. But to also know that educators, librarians, guidance counselors have a small moment in time when a child's before them that they can actually make an impact in the child's life. Because you never underestimate the power of a small gesture towards a child. I'm one that survived on small gestures.
Well, and those small gestures are so important. And something else that's important is maybe a term that some have heard and some that haven't heard, but it's safe spaces. Let's talk about what a safe space is.
Yes, safe spaces for us, this is Regina, safe spaces for us were usually schools or libraries. I mean, first as kids who were living on the streets, we saw these places that were temperature controlled and had clean running water as a very comfortable place. But a safe space is a place where you know that you're not going to be physically abused or sexually abused or berated, and that the child could just be and learn and be embraced. And we found that with librarians, and we found that through educators, and we found it through guidance counselors as well. Even though we would move around a lot, there were so many in that area with the public school system and public libraries that provided us that safe space where if we wanted to talk about what was going on, we could talk about what was going on. But that, of course, if we wanted to.
Again, the book is available right now. It's called Girl Unbroken. Now, has there been any talk of either this book or the original book that you had done 3 years ago, Etched in Sand? Has there been any talk of either of these being made into a movie? Because it sounds to me like this could be the making of a really interesting movie as well.
We're hoping now that Girl Unbroken's out, we would start getting some interest because you have me telling my story in New York trying to protect Rosie, and you have Rosie telling her story as well. So they go on at the exact same time in two different parts of the country, and the tension is real. And as everyone knows, there's a very happy ending because now Rosie's married. She's got 3 amazing kids, and there is a happy ending, which people love. But we think that there could be more interest now that both of our stories are out, and a producer would hopefully see the entire picture.
And again, one of the things that we learned in the first book and also from our conversation today is there are other siblings in the family as well. Are there other stories that you think may be told over the next few years?
I think right now what we're going to do is just embrace the success of Girl Unbroken and see where that takes us.
Very nice. Well, Regina, Rosie, thank you so much for taking some time to visit with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And again, the book is called Girl Unbroken. It's an inspirational book. It is available right now. Again, the title is A Girl Unbroken, and the subtitle is A Sister's Harrowing Story of Survival from the Streets of Long Island to the Farms of Idaho. And like I said, it is available right now. Thank you for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Are you ready for Duel? Kyle Dowling on guitar, Brett Gunderson on bass, Sam DeVito on drums, and frontman Duel Shane.
Gotta keep rocking, gotta keep sucking, bringing it down like rain.
Duel's new single just hit iTunes and it's selling fast. Get your copy now.
With your lacking chains and you feel no pain, Supernova gonna get you too.
Their first single, Supernova, is available now for less than $1. Learn more and find a direct link to buy Supernova at facebook.com/Duel Rocks.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
It's possible for potatoes to explode in the oven if you don't poke holes in them.
I knew that. That's why you poke holes in them.
Really? I thought it was so they cooked a lot quicker.
No, it's so they don't blow up.
Can we make some potatoes tonight? I'd like to.
No.
We could maybe eat some potatoes while we watch the Charlie Brown Christmas. Oh, we'll talk about that in a minute. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Neptune's moon, Triton, and this planet Pluto have similar characteristics, so similar that there are astronomers that believe that they were once twin moons of Neptune.
Oh.
So there you go. And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Deep sea explorer Robert Sarmas thinks that he's found the lost continent of Atlantis. Guess where it was?
Where?
Underwater. A mile
we knew
under.
that.
A mile under the Mediterranean between Cyprus and Syria. He thinks he found it there.
But how many times have we heard, hey,
Yeah.
I found Atlantis?
Everybody.
Yeah.
I had a guy, he said he found it. It was in his laundry. Oh, never mind. It was just a lost sock. That's what I found. Coming up, we've got some info on a TV program that you'll be able to watch with us tonight. It's all on the way.
John and Heidi.
This is the world's first and only 7-time lottery game grand prize winner. Since I endorsed Lottolicious, I have won something every single draw. When you join, you'll be giving them the set of numbers that you want them to play, and that's what they will play for you. You don't have to worry about running to the store to buy your tickets. They take care of all that. So if you're looking for the best way to play the lottery, go to RadioLottoPool.com and join today. Again, that's RadioLottoPool.com.
John and Heidi.
Heidi, do we have plans for tonight?
No.
I hope that we don't, because I'd like to watch on ABC Television Network. They have a Charlie Brown Christmas. It's going to be tonight, Thursday, December the 1st at 9, 8 Central. And it says here, top 10 things you didn't know about a Charlie Brown Christmas. You know,
Did you like this movie growing up?
I did. When I was a kid,
Really?
I watched it all the time. It's been out now every year since 1965. And if you're a fan of this, you got to say thank you to the folks at Coca-Cola. They got, the special got its start when Coca-Cola decided to say, hey, we want to support this. We want to pay the ad rates for it. So that's why it happened. The unedited version is very seldom aired. In the unedited version, they actually have some prominent advertisements for Coca-Cola during scenes. So it was like early product placement. There was supposed to be a laugh track, but the executives, they were big fans of laugh tracks. They wanted that. Charles Schultz said, no way, Jose. I don't want people to laugh because we told them to laugh. I want them to laugh because it's funny. The kids' voices in Charlie Brown's Christmas special are actual kids, not actors. They use children, which is really kind of cool. The network was nervous about the religious content. CBS was very concerned that Schultz's use of actual Bible quotes would actually turn viewers off, when in fact it actually was exactly the opposite. That's one of the things that people like about it. Charlie Brown was popular from the start. Despite CBS's concerns about the laugh track and the kids' voices and the religious sentiment, it was a hit. The first time it aired, December 9th, 1965, it captured half of the audience. And it was number 2 for the week. So like half the people in the country tuned in. The only people that beat it in the ratings were Bonanza, who was like a huge show back then.
Yeah.
Critics and viewers both loved the show. The show made Vince Guldari a star. He'd already been a well-known jazz pianist, but his song that was featured in the show became a huge hit. And it says homage shows up all over the place. The Simpsons have parodied the dancing scenes. There are a bunch of them. Jimmy Neutron is another one. What are some of the others on here? Several different programs. Now, and there's one last thing. It says, if you like the special that's on ABC tonight, did you know that there's another one? A Charlie Brown Christmas? It's not the only one. Peanuts Christmas special. There's one from 1992 called It's Christmas Time Again, Charlie Brown. 2002, Charlie Brown's Christmas Tales. 2003, I Want a Dog for Christmas, Charlie Brown. And each one, in its own cute way, is similar, but when it comes right down to it, there's only one, the original. And that's the one that'll be on ABC tonight. So,
alrighty.
I'm going to tune in and check it out. I think that's pretty darn cool. It's just kind of like a holiday tradition. So there you go. Now
That's
you
just
know
not one I ever
you're not invited.
loved.
Taylor and I will watch it without you.
I'll be watching Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Ooh, I love that one too. Stick around, more fun stuff on the way.
John and Heidi.
When is the last time you changed the air filter on your furnace? Now, don't be embarrassed. That happens to a bunch of us. The furnace filter should be changed often. This will help your heating and cooling system run more efficiently, and it'll even extend the life of your system. Now, there's an easy way to make it happen. Filter Easy, a new subscription service that delivers your size filter right to your door on the schedule you choose. It's easy. Filter Easy. One less thing to worry about. Learn about a special offer available now at radiosavings.com.
John and Heidi.
You know, when you're traveling, there are people out there that have tips on how you can save money when you travel, right?
Oh, yeah.
Here's a tip for you. Don't do what these people did. A Russian couple trying to avoid buying a train ticket for their daughter by putting her in her suitcase.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. They were found out when the case was stolen.
Oh, my gosh.
Can you imagine? Luckily, the 3-year-old girl was found on a Moscow street after the crooks let her out. But
my gosh.
But they did keep the suitcase. So this young girl was stolen in a suitcase and left on a street in Moscow.
That is awful.
Yeah. Mom and Dad saved a couple of bucks on a ticket, though. How much could a ticket cost for a 3-year-old?
Oh, my gosh.
Couldn't cost much. Coming up, going to talk about a lady that was thrown in jail for wearing a T-shirt. Oh, yeah. We'll tell you what the T-shirt said in a bit.
John and Heidi.
A woman could be thrown in jail for a year for wearing a T-shirt. Now, this was in the United States of America. I want to make sure we say that first. Guess what was written on the front of the shirt?
What's that?
Sheriff. Yeah.
Oh, because they said she was impersonating an officer?
Police told Kimberly Salt you could be mistaken for a real sheriff, and the offense carries a year in jail. She brought the item. She bought the item rather at a uniform shop, so it was actually a real.
Oh, so it
sheriff.
was a sheriff's. Okay.
She worked as a civilian jail employee. She was ordered to swap the shirt with something that was maybe from evidence or whatever. They said you can't wear that one. The word sheriff is right across the front. And right across the back.
They told her to swap the shirt with something from evidence.
Yeah, because she was working. They said, you can grab something different. You can't wear that. Anyway, you'd think that they'd have better things to do, but apparently that's their thing. And I understand why, because if you've got somebody pretending to be an officer, they're pretending to be an officer.
But was she pretending to be an officer?
Well, she kind of was, because she was helping out, but she wasn't really a sheriff. And in 1998, there was a civilian that was charged with wearing the initials LAPD on a hat. And showing up at things and, blending in with the police, wearing a hat that said LAPD, and the Los Angeles Police Department said no. So he was written up on charges. That was back in 1998. Coming up, we've got some more fun stuff on the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday.
John and Heidi.
We just wrapped up one of the most contentious elections in the history of our nation. Some are excited about the outcome, others not so excited. We want to remind you that we're still one nation, under God, indivisible. We've made it through many things, and we'll make it through this too. Let's do it together. At PoliticalStorm.com, we've been covering this election from both sides, and we want to thank the many contributors that have helped make that possible. We also invite you to become a contributor too with a free blog. Let's share all of the reasons to come together and unify as a nation. Share your voice at PoliticalStorm.com.
John and Heidi.
If you switch your focus from dieting to just living a healthy lifestyle during the holidays, you'll actually boost your chances of maintaining your perfect weight.
Maintaining.
Yeah. Many of us will gain about 5 pounds from the middle of October through New Year's Day. I am way above average. I gained that just on Thanksgiving. So, Stephanie Barthmeyer, a psychotherapist with Methodist Weight Management Center in Houston, says because weight gain is gradual, we don't realize the damage of our indulgences right away, but the scale tells all when the holidays are over. That's why lose weight is number one on the New Year's resolution list every single year. So rather than trying to focus on losing weight between Halloween and New Year's, instead they say focus on not gaining weight. That's it. Make it your goal to maintain your weight. Don't count every calorie. Don't restrict yourself from your favorite holiday foods, but just stay active in your everyday life and then keep an eye on what you're shoveling in there. So, and I say that because I'm just as bad as anybody. By the way, we had our leftover turkey turned into something delicious. So hopefully, because that was a whole week ago now, wouldn't people have all their leftovers used up by now?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Wasn't yesterday the day that we said that you were supposed to have them done by yesterday or throw them away?
I don't know.
If you have some dried up yucky turkey, I'm going to tell you what we did. This I thought was really good. It was a cream of chicken soup and some mixed vegetables and the turkey. And then I mixed it all up, and it was kind of like a chicken pot pie, but it was like a turkey pot pie. And then I put crackers in there too. Oh, that was good. So it's like a turkey pot pie soup. Mm-hmm. But you can take the dry and not so delicious turkey because it's all dried up now, and it kind of like brings it back a little bit. So now, if your turkey is really dried up, maybe there's no use for you. Funny that I just shared a recipe after talking about eating healthy. Probably nothing in my recipe that was healthy either. Coming up, we've got some good news that is on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I gotta say thank you to the people who've been sending me some awesome good news stories. Heidi sent me one the other day. I don't have that one for today, but I'll share that maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. But this was a good one that was sent to me. More than 300 premature babies at the NICU in Northside Hospital in Atlanta are sleeping much more cozily now, thanks to the efforts of an 86-year-old man, Ed Mosley. He's a resident at the Dogwood Forest Assisted Living Center, and that's in Ackworth, Georgia. He taught himself how to knit. He was bored and thought, I'm going to do something with my time. So he taught himself to knit so he could make precious warm hats to donate to the premature babies this holiday season. He has so far knitted 55 baby caps, but with the help of one of his caretakers and other staff and friends and family, he's recently able to present over 300 hand-knitted caps to the NICU. And again, that's at the Northside Hospital in Atlanta. So that's really cool. And if you'd like to read that story or watch the video, it's all on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. If you come across some good news that you'd like to have as part of our good news, please send it to me through the same Facebook page. Send me a message as well, because I've seen people are posting them on there, which is cool. If I catch them, I'll share them. But if you don't send me a message, I might not catch it. And then, wouldn't it be awful to miss the good news?
Yes.
It would be awful. So, Heidi, did you send me a message?
I did.
No, you didn't. You just posted it.
I tagged you in it.
That's not
And
the
you
same.
got the notification, so I sent you a message.
No, you didn't. You didn't do it the right way. You didn't listen to the instructions, so you are disqualified. All right, time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on this Thursday. Wow, it is the first day of December. How did that happen? Thanks for listening.